just kidding. I feel great. It is 1 week post-op and I don't feel like I've had an operation. Well, anyway, hello, welcome back to Half of Heidi. If this is the first video of mine, then sorry, that was not a typical introduction. It's just that I'm 1 week post-op a vertical sleeve gastrectomy and I feel amazing. I've been off the pain medications for a couple of days now, and I don't feel like I miss them, like in terms of, and I'm even lying on my side in bed and things like that, so I'm actually really happy. So let me try and get my muddled brain in order and tell you all the news and how everything's been going for the last week. Okay. Actually, let me start with my stats. So my highest weight was, oh, I've got them in front of me, 191.7 kilograms, which is 422.6 pounds. I had a 4-week pre-op diet due to that high starting weight. So in that period, I lost 11.8 kilograms, which was 26 pounds. And then on the day of surgery, that meant I weighed 179.9 kilograms or 396.6 pounds. And I celebrated it in a, you know, I'm below 400 pounds. I reached my goal of 180 kilograms pre-op and all that kind of stuff. So I was pretty happy with myself, right? I think you could remember from my last video. This week, I've lost 7.1 kilograms, which is 15.6 pounds, which brings my total weight loss to 18.9 kilograms or 41.6 pounds. I actually wish I was in a non-metric country because 41 pounds sounds so much cooler than 89, than 18 kilograms. But anyway, I'll still take it. Thank you. Okay, so my current weight is 172.8 kilograms or 380.9 pounds. And because I want to lose about 100 kilograms, which is 220 something or other-ish pounds from memory, that actually means that I'm roughly just under 19% progress in terms of, the 100 kilo goal. So that's in 5 weeks. So that's, to me, feels so monumental and so like just the absolute first step in the right direction. And I know I have to be realistic though. I know I have to set my expectations around typical weekly weight loss, because obviously this was just the first week since the surgery, where obviously you're having a lot less food and all that kind of stuff. So let me talk about the surgery and how that went. So it was actually, because of the hospital I was in, I was expecting an SMS the day before the surgery to confirm what time I needed to be at the hospital for admission. And I got a message saying be there at 7 a.m. And then, like, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes later, I got a please ignore previous SMS, be there at 11 a.m. Which at first I was sort of really not happy about, because I'd already booked accommodation near the hospital expecting a quite early admission and not wanting to drive through traffic across town. You know, it could take 2 hours if there was an accident or something. Anyway, it turned out that that was actually totally fine, because it meant that I could get up at a reasonable time on surgery day and prep properly. So that meant, having a shower, washing my hair, using the body wash that the nursing admission had given me, drying myself off really well, putting on clean clothes. Really, really glad I double checked the instructions because I didn't know we weren't supposed to wear deodorant. I'm a put on deodorant multiple times a day kind of person because I just can't stand thinking that I'm going to be sweating and smelly. And because I'm generally a sweaty person, I always have been, even when I was slimmer. So I think it's a genetics thing. I blame my grandmother. Anyway, that's a side point. So yeah, glad I read that. Not that it probably would have made that much difference, but I guess if I'd worn it, then the law of, you know, bad things that happen, I probably would have had some sort of emergency situation and they would have been going, we can't fix her, she's wearing deodorant. I don't know why, but anyway. I was also so fortunate that it was the heaviest day of my lady time. And I mean, it was bad. And obviously I'd had to stop drinking. I couldn't have fluids after 5 a.m. or I can't remember what it was now. So I couldn't, like, painkillers had way worn off by the 11 a.m. check-in at the hospital. So I was already, and I had a really bad sore throat and like I was getting a cold. So I had this really painful sore throat. I had cramps up the wazoo. I was nervous, so nervous. I think my husband Matt was equally as nervous, probably more because he was the one that was going to have to be awake for the whole procedure and waiting to hear what happened. Anyway, so we went to the hospital, went into the admissions desk, they took all of the details, and then a volunteer took me to the day of surgery ward, clinic, I don't know what they call it, section, and they took me into a little room and had a conversation with me and went through all the medication that I take. A pharmacist actually came in and checked what medication I take and wrote it down in like some log thingy that the nurses would then follow in the post-op care. He was lovely, Duncan the pharmacist. Then what else happened? Oh, I was given like a bag of the surgery clothes, so the gown, the compression stockings, and the most huge pair of paper undies that they were just, I'm not entirely sure who they were supposed to be designed for. They were bizarre. I could pull them up like over my boobs. They were that big and I'm so confused by them. And I asked the nurse, because I didn't bring a tampon. I was just, you know, of all the things I brought, and maybe I'll put that in another video of the things I brought, what I actually used. Didn't put any tampons in. I put like 10 zillion pads. Anyway, the nurse at admission says she can't actually wear a tampon during surgery, so it didn't matter anyway. So I'm like trying to put, like, overlap these pads in these massive paper undies, and it was just such a bizarre experience. Like, I'm holding up these undies and I'm like, can I roll them? Can I tie them in a knot? But then that probably won't work because they probably want to be able to like pull them down, and then yeah, so anyway, I was like really awkward. Couldn't for the life of me get the stockings on myself, so basically just walked out there and was like, I can't put these on. So the poor nurse had to do it, lovely lady. Then I was taken into like a waiting area and I was put in a recliner with a whole bunch of other people, I guess ready for their surgery, and they put a nice warm towel on me, and I can't even remember now what was on the TV, but I remember thinking, I can't believe I'm about to go have surgery and I'm watching whatever it was that was on the TV, and I can't remember what it is now, so that was not that important. So then they took me, after a while, I'd been waiting for a while, they took me into, I think it ended up being the recovery area. Maybe it's, I don't know, that kind of doesn't sound right. I feel like it looked exactly the same, like where I was prepped before they took me to the theatre, and where they brought me back looked the same, but I don't really know. So I hopped up on the bed. I don't even remember much about that. I think I was really shitting myself at that point. And they put my CPAP machine on the bed with me. I remember that. Then they wheeled me round. Oh, there was waiting periods between all of these stages. And then they wheeled me round to, I guess, my theatre room. And I think from memory it's theatre room 15. I don't think that's ever going to... I never need to actually remember that. But for some reason I just want to mention it. And then I was like in the little portico bit that before you get wheeled actually into the theatre. And then that's when I got to meet the anaesthetist and his crew. I don't know what to call them. And I don't know whether there was... I can't even remember if they took my blood pressure. I can't remember much of that now. It's such a blur. I should have, like, written down notes, like... But I don't know. Anyway, I remember him being really, really nice, though. So he put the needle for the anaesthetic in my inside elbow area, which I kind of wasn't expecting for some reason. I thought it would be on my hand. And then... But he was really nice. And then... what else? Nothing else really. Some guy came and asked me how I was, and I basically said, you know, I'm shitting myself. And he was telling me how great my surgeon is and all this kind of stuff. So that was nice. That was very reassuring. I did actually appreciate that. Then my surgeon came actually, and he asked me how I was and how did my pre-op diet go. And I said, you know, I'd lost 11.8 kilograms. And he said, that's excellent. Then they wheeled me into the theatre. And that was cold. That was really cold in there. I guess if you're standing up operating on someone, you don't really want to be sweating and stuff. And I don't know, is there any nurses out there or anybody who can tell me, is there a reason that the operating theatre is cold as it is other than for the comfort of the staff? Like, is there actually a medical reason? I don't know. So then they wheeled my bed over next to the operating table bed and asked me if I could wriggle myself across. And as I'm wriggling, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, what's going to happen with these paper undies and these pads that are strategically placed in there? They're going to go all skew-whiff and something's going to happen and I'm going to just, you know, I'm going to be bleeding everywhere and it won't actually be from the surgery. Anyway, I think I might have said it to the anaesthetist that I was really worried because I had my period. It was really heavy. And he's like, oh yes, your I think he said it was something like, I saw your red blood cell count was really low. You must have very heavy periods. And I'm like, yes. Anyway, that was not the point. The point was to say I'm really scared I'm going to bleed everywhere. But anyway, he didn't seem to care. I guess they're medical people. They see everything. They've seen it all, probably. So then they put me on the operating table. Like I said, I wriggled across, and modesty goes out the window at that point. Like, your gown is undone at the back, and you know it's going to be brought off you, or up or off. I don't know exactly how they do it. And actually, I just had a thought, which I will mention in a second. So the table had like arm rests that, like, I felt like Jesus on the cross. Like, I know that sounds really stupid, but and they strapped me in, and I was still awake at this point, and I'm like, are they going to actually turn on the anaesthetic sooner, or am I going to have to say, still conscious here, or am I going to be one of those people that is awake during their procedure in terms of they've been put under, but they're actually conscious of everything that's going on. Anyways, actually, my friend was telling me that the reason they put some sensors on my head was to check my brainwaves, so to make sure I actually was under. So that's a relief. Anyways, I remember staring at the ceiling, and I remember there being music, but I can't really remember what the music was. I was trying to work out whether it was AC/DC because I heard that's what my surgeon plays. And the next thing I know, I can hear my name being called, and I'm in recovery. So obviously they didn't say how they were about to put the anaesthetic in. They just did it and I was gone. Anyway, so what I was going to say though was I just realised, like, with the whole degowning thing, and obviously I didn't have like a bra or anything on. I don't know if I was supposed to. Actually, no, because she said to me, take everything off. I've got an incision really high up, and I just had this sudden thought of, I wonder if they had to move my boobs to get to where they wanted to make an incision. So now I'm just picturing some poor nurse having to just pick up the melons and I think I'm gonna have to lie down and see where did the girls go, because now I'm just really curious if somebody had to reconfigure this situation. Anyway, recovery was horrible. Oh my gosh, bad. And now that I've said that, I take it all back. It was unpleasant. It was a short-term period of discomfort. There was absolutely no pain, but I was so hot, boiling hot. And they brought over some cold towels and put them on my head, and they pulled my gown down a bit and put one across my chest. And I think they removed like the blankets but left a sheet and that kind of stuff. But yeah, and then my vision was so blurred, and I was just so dopey. So I was just like barely able to keep my eyes open, and I just felt so hot. No nausea, great, thankfully. And yeah, really didn't feel any pain, but they said to expect that because the anaesthetic is still kind of working in a way. And I think they might have already given me painkillers. I don't know. I think I must have dozed and come around and dozed and that sort of stuff, but I know that they kept coming and telling me to take deeper breaths and stuff. So they were obviously monitoring my oxygen levels and wanted me to breathe deeper. And then eventually they said, okay, Heidi, it's time to go to your room. I'm going to admit you to the ward and you've already got someone waiting there for you. And I was like, I really hope that's my husband, because I don't know, there's something about I just needed to see him, and so that I really knew that everything was all right. Anyway, so wheeling. I'm pretty sure I fell asleep on the trip to the room a couple of times, and then got to the room, was wheeled in. Yes, I saw my husband sitting, waiting for me, and I was so happy. I was lucky, got a private room. That was just luck of the draw. I really don't think that, yeah, I think that was just luck of the draw. And then I think, I don't know, the rest of that day, so the rest of the surgery day is really blurry, literally, because my eyes were so blurry. I couldn't like I wanted to log into Facebook and, you know, let people know how I was, but I couldn't see what I was doing. So like my husband had to do all that for me. I think he took a photo of me and posted that as well. And I think I was doing some sort of half-assed thumbs up, like, yep, I'm okay. But you know what? It was like later, I didn't even know how much later. Yes, my eyes were blurry and I felt really dopey and stuff. But I got out of bed and I went for a walk. Like, I'm pretty impressed with that. Like, I mean, you're supposed to. They tell you to get up and move around because that's supposed to help with the gas that they've inflated your abdomen with. So that was, yeah, I'm impressed by that. Anyway, first night was typical hospital. You don't really sleep in a hospital. Immediately regretted not taking my own pillow. My husband stayed until midnight, which was nice that they didn't kick him out at the end of visiting hours. And luckily, yeah, we had the accommodation nearby, so we could just sort of literally get there in 5 minutes or something. rather than, you know, the hour plus to get back to our actual house. And then on the Wednesday morning, I was woken up early and taken down for the barium swallow to see if there were any leaks. And I've got to say, I'm not entirely sure why so many people say that the barium tastes disgusting. I think it must come down to your personal preferences and personal tastes, because if you hate that aniseed sort of flavour, then yeah, I guess you probably wouldn't enjoy it. But I mean, I know this is going to sound really silly, but it tasted like syrupy, like it tasted thick, and it had, you know, a very faint aniseed flavour. Now, being a person who, when I was like early 20s, was drinking Sambuca and aniseed flavoured drinks, wasn't really that big a deal, thankfully. And I also managed, I was very happy I managed to drink enough for them to successfully be able to see what was going on in there, rather than me having to keep drinking and drinking until they got it right. So I was like, whew, good. And then I went back to my room and Matt had reappeared, which was really nice. And then I was allowed to shower and put my own clothes on. So did that. That was really nice. Matt basically just became my primary caregiver and looked after me for the next 24 hours. The nurses would come every maybe 4 hours or so, do observations, give me pills I had to take. They gave me injections in my tummy of heparin, the blood thinner to prevent clots. I was given, then I was given the all clear after the barium swallow, so I could have more water. I was actually allowed water, so 4 hours after the surgery I was allowed to have small sips of water, and then after the barium swallow had come through, I was allowed to have my free fluids. So I'd have the hospital food, obviously, but they only gave me soup. There was nothing else, just soup. They offered Sustagen and Resource, which I'd never heard of before. Anyway, I tried both Resource and Sustagen. I think because I had a cold, like I'd had the sore throat, the Sustagen was really soothing on the sore throat. It's interesting how like morphine can help like surgical pain, but a simple sore throat, it doesn't touch. Like, that's really interesting. Holy hell, look how long this video is. Anyway, sorry, wasn't expecting it to be this long. Speaking of morphine, so I had the system where you just pushed a button for pain relief, and you could do it every like 5 minutes or something like that. And I went through a whole syringe, and then they came and changed it, and two nurses came and changed it, and one was standing there going, I don't think I've ever seen anyone get through it. And I'm like, really? I don't know about that. Like, who wouldn't want pain relief when they're in pain? Whatever. They said it was there and I should use it, and I did. So I did. And it helped me, like it made me dopey and all that kind of stuff, but I didn't really care. Okay, so what else? So the Thursday morning, well, actually the Wednesday afternoon, I saw my surgeon again, and that's when I found out that I'd had a hernia repair at the same time as the surgery. So my stomach, the top of my stomach had come up through the gap in your diaphragm. A hiatal hernia repair, it was called. I'm going to see my surgeon in a week, and so I'm going to ask him more questions about that in terms of like how much of it was through the hole, and I understand that it's a common thing for people, you know, with severe obesity for that to happen, because they've got so much fat that all their organs are getting pushed up. And it also can then lead to indigestion and GERD and things like that, which I had, so that all makes sense in hindsight. Then the Thursday morning, the surgeon came around again and said I was free to go. My husband picked me up that morning, so the Thursday morning I did a poo. I was very excited. I don't know if anybody else was very excited by their first poo, but I felt like it was an achievement. It was only 2 days post-op and I had done a poo. I know some people who were like 10 days post-op and still hadn't done a poo. So I was like, yeah, I'd done a poo. Then we got in the car to drive home and I slept the whole way home. Thank you, morphine. And yeah, so this last week, every single day is just a marked improvement from the previous day. I was never in a lot of pain. I can only describe it as discomfort. Like, you're just not quite comfortable. And you can't lie on your stomach, and I often lie on my stomach while I'm getting to sleep. And on my side, and I couldn't do that for the first few days, so I really was really tired by that point. I think I might have to do another video talking about the recovery period, because this video is way too long and I can't edit because I don't have any software to edit. So I'm going to leave this one here. And if you made it this far, I want you to comment firecracker down below, so I know you made it this far. Go ahead, do it. Okay, I'm going to leave it there. So overall, week 1, freaking awesome. Bring on week 2. Yeah, I'm a happy chappy. I hope you're all happy chappies, whatever you're doing and wherever you're up to in your journey. Any questions for me, please do reach out. Want to have a general conversation, just reach out. Yeah, and I will see you in my next video.